7:46 right now. I have work that starts at 9 a.m., but I'm gonna try and get in a quick writing session before that starts. So my plan is to go to a coffee shop and write. And to be honest, I feel like I'm just repeating myself here, but a lot has happened in the past few months where I'm really out of any sort of writing routine and I don't know how to fix it. I think the idea of starting a whole new routine is both exciting and really daunting with the other life changes that I have going on. So today I'm not going to write any scene, word for any of the manuscripts I'm currently working on. I'm just going to write something new, something fun, something random, not related to any of the projects that I beat myself up about going too slow on, but something that makes me like writing again. So let's go.
You got someone new, I know it. Yeah, but I will keep on denying it. Yeah. Gotta keep my emotions from running wild.
So my mics don't have very much charge at all, so I don't have very much time to talk to you. But I got my Americano and my ham and cheese croissant, and so I'm ready to settle in. I also did not plan ahead and didn't charge any of my writing devices. Normally I would write either on my iPad or my free write, but I neglected to bring either. So it is a paper and pen type of day, but I'm not going to let that get me down. I'm going to start with some journaling and then go to another notebook to just start free writing, and I guess we'll see how that goes. So I finished my writing session, and I did find it a little hard at the beginning to just stop and write a new story and let go of the internal pressure to either brainstorm or continue fleshing out the world for the manuscript I'm actively working on now. I think the main problem with that one is that it's a lot of world building, and my vision for it will require far more research than I anticipated. So I've been reading some books about geopolitics in the real world and a lot of different ways geography affects nations and societies over time. And so I think I am definitely building up a good foundation for realizing that story how I imagine it, but it's hard to just go back in and start writing when I feel like I have this mountain of to-do for that. But I did write a little bit of a new story, which I'm very excited about, and it was just fun to write again and feel loose about it and not need to have everything be perfect. But I would love to talk a little bit about owning your writing, and particularly in person to people. This has been a particular struggle for me. I don't know why, but I feel like on the internet, in book communities, it's far easier to call myself a writer or author, because I'm pretty confident that if you like young adult fantasy novels, then you might like my book. But for the average person, where I don't know what they like to read or how familiar they are with bookish spaces or genres or any of that, it just feels weirder to go out and call myself a writer, or even worse, an author, when that's not my day job and I was not traditionally published. Just last night I was at a networking event for my day job, and somebody was asking what I like to do outside of work, and so I said, I like to write. She's like, oh, that's cool. I was like, I actually published a book. She's like, oh wow, I heard publishing's really hard. Like, what was it like getting published, getting a publisher and all of that? And I just felt as really insecure, which is funny because I would never ever judge someone for self-publishing or indie publishing. I don't think it's easy whatsoever, but for some reason when somebody was asking me about it, I really just felt insecure about the fact that I didn't get a publisher and I didn't go the traditional route, and somehow felt a little less than. In general, I don't feel like I belong in writerly spaces in person. The other day I went to this litcrawl event, which is like a bar crawl, but for a bunch of literary events, which was absolutely incredible. I felt so much anxiety beforehand because I felt like I would go and be like almost an imposter, even though it was absolutely not a prerequisite at all to be an author or a writer. All you had to do was like books, and I definitely fit the bill for that. But I went and I just was thinking about all of the times when somebody might ask me and I might have to say that I like to write, which didn't happen very much, of course, and it wasn't even really a big deal, but for some reason I built it up in my head and was so anxious about the possibility of having to own up to the fact that I am an author, and more particularly that I didn't get the traditional book deal, which is what most people think of when they think of writers and they think of published writers. And part of that, I think, comes from my insecurity about how I marketed the book after it came out. There's a huge push for all of the different parts to come together, whether it be designing the cover and putting it up on all of the requisite spaces and telling people. And then right after I published it, I got a concussion. And so all of the marketing I'd planned went out the window. And for about 3 months, I was just trying to get by. But that was kind of the period I felt where it was really important to market. And so I'll talk a little bit more about this in another video I'm making about reflections on my first year as an author. But I feel like I missed it. Missed my time to market the book, missed the time for the book to become a success. And while that's not true at all, there's plenty of books that become wildly popular even 2 years later after they're published. I feel like I'm embarrassed for people to look up the book, for people to see how few reviews it got because of how little I pushed it in channels. And so it still feels icky and a little anxiety inducing. I'm still looking for ways to get better about that and to overcome it. And so right now my method has just been exposure therapy and trying to tell people. There's a bookstore opening up near me, and every Sunday they were staying outside and taking book donations and selling books to raise money for the renovation inside. And so one day I told them I'm an author and I'd love to donate some of my books and I can sign them. And nobody ever reacts poorly. I think it's very much inside my head. But that was a form of exposure therapy. I'm just trying more and more to own up to my writing, own up to the fact that I'm an author, to random people I meet. Not in like a forceful way, but I'm hoping that the more I do it, the less queasy I'll feel. But I don't think that's happened yet. So, still looking forward to the growth. And I guess we'll see how that goes. But I gotta go home and go to work now. Well, work from home day today, so I have to go home and open my laptop. But thank you so much for coming with me on this writing session, and as always, sitting and listening to my reflections and chattiness. And I can't wait to see you next one. Bye.